Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Astrology and Beyond. I am Tatiana, also broadcasting for ANN Archetypal News Network. And today we're going to be talking about the first half of September. So, this is a very, uh, how can I put this? Like the months of August, September, like the whole summer and into September, like it's just the whole 2025, let's say. It's such a pivotal time. So it seems as though every month we're like, oh my gosh, there's so much happening because we are in fundamentally pivotal times, not to be taken lightly in the sense of oh, it's just another day in life. These are really major changes we are all undergoing as a planet, as a species, as as individuals. And the reason why the astrology helps us so much at this time is to understand what or how better we can ride these huge changes, and not only how we can write them because the outside is making the change for us. No, it's how better we can write it because we are making the change inside ourselves, and with the full awareness of our capacity to create new realities, to align with new paradigms that are a co-creation with the cosmos. So this is why it's so big, because we are being awakened to the power of our own creative selves. That is what's happening. But the only way to get there and be in co-creation mode with the planets, with the cosmos, with the collective, with soul essence, is to actually fully be totally in alignment with our soul essence, hence our blueprint, hence understanding our astrology or understanding our essence, and not only the essence as a soul essence, which is unity and perfect oneness, but the essence as humans. That's why our astrology blueprint is so important, because as humans, we come with this blueprint for a reason, to effect an expression of the divine on this planet while the planet transitions. So this is why this time is so big. It's not, that's why I say not to be taken lightly, not to mean like, oh, it's gravitas. No, it's more like understand the amazing power that comes with the times that we're living in. And this month of September, like August, like the summer, like this whole year, it's another transitional period because we are entering eclipse season. And here is where we have our portals of quantum jumping and evolution. And sometimes these portals might seem like crisis points because that's where we move through the squeeze with the evolutionary loop of squeezes. So this might feel like exciting, exhilarating, but also challenging. And this is where we need to move with the evolutionary boat. Now, this video might be a little bit long, so I might need to do it in two segments, depending, because there's so much to cover just the first week, and that's not even leading up towards the first full lunar eclipse on the 7th of September or 8th for certain locations. So uh, this is big. So let's just start so we can understand what's going on with our first timings. And I also want to apologize for having been away for the past month. I have been really, moving through a lot myself, and also the summer kind of is it's the time where so many things just happen, and it's hard to always show up when things are moving around so much. So anyway, let's get to it. My little talking face is moving around. So we start the month with Saturn retrograding back into Pisces. So as we know, we had little tastes of Saturn moving into Aries, all this newness, the new opportunities that are arriving, the new things. We got the taster. But now Saturn is moving back into Pisces, and that is it's very important, not because it's just, I mean, all retrogrades just happen all the time, but this is the last kind of review point of this Pisces energy. And this is where the Piscean energy of dissolution, of trust, of the other side, of the karmic lessons, all of that is almost putting the last little final period on a chapter. A gigantic cycle, a big cycle of karmic entanglements, of dreams and illusions. And this is the time where we get to weed out what was a dream and what is a reality, and what is moving forward with something that is in alignment and what is not. So this is where we get the benefit of having the sun in Virgo and um, having the possibility of discerning. And we have, it's starting the month, we do have some supportive aspects. You see, we have two grand trines. And as much as this grand trine is a very fleeting one because the moon moves very fast, it's still energies that are going to help us move into this month with some sense of knowingness, where we need to heal, where we need to move forward with what has been keeping us from entering the best version of ourselves, and how to express that with clarity and with honesty, uh, and aligning with what truly nourishes us, our soul, our heart, as Mercury is still in Leo. And we have this other supporting grand trine, which again is not necessarily a very strong energy, in the sense that Lilith is not a planet and neither is the nodes, but this aspect of Jupiter trining the North Node and Lilith gives almost like a boost of hope and confidence in what reassures us. And because Jupiter is ruled by the moon, these two energies correlate to really a sense of finding home within, finding the home, the Cancer, what nourishes, what fulfills us, what deeply gives us a balm of divine love. And it connects deeply to the feminine, the essence of the feminine. So this is like a beautiful time to look at that as Saturn retrogrades. So let's look a little bit at the Saturn retrogrades in Pisces themes. Um, so some themes, you see, this is the Pisces energy, which is again the we've talked about this a lot, but is ruled by Neptune. And this is the otherworldly, the trust in the divine, the dissolution of everything that is where all boundaries dissolve. And then Saturn moving back into here asks of us a few questions. Saturn is the the timekeeper, the one that brings things into form. So these are the important lessons Saturn is asking us. So two things to bear in mind in this Saturn retrograde is, where is your Pisces house? Because this is the house in your chart, or the area of your life that is having these wrap ups, this cosmic, let's wrap it up and let's take the lessons forward of what we have learned, what things need to go, and what are we moving forward with. Very important time. So first, Saturn is asking us to revisit boundaries in our spiritual life. So that's a very important theme. Is what do we align with? Where do we overextend our energy? Where are we not being cautious with our thoughts and our own life force energy? Where are we giving our energy to things, people, places, things that are not supportive? Essentially, where are we being vampirized? Where's our energy being sucked, and we need to put boundaries and say, no, this is not going. And that could be people that drain us. That could be situations. That could be a job that is not fulfilling. It could be anything. So this is why it's so important to look at what house this energy is asking us to look at those things. Where are the drains of in our life that are keeping us from essentially reclaiming our life force? This is also a time for restructuring dreams and ideals. in that area of your life is maybe we had this big ideal or something that could have sounded just great, and we tried it, and maybe it's things from the past that we are also closing karmic cycles, and we needed to live through some lessons. And in this area of life, uh, we need to look at that again with realism. Where have we been drawn by the dream, the Piscean ideal, and maybe how to restructure that. That doesn't mean we need to completely chug everything and toss it. It's more like, what are the things from these dreams and ideals that were not correct, are not aligned, and give it the Saturnian realistic vibe. Okay, how can we make the new dreams and new ideals take form? Or how can we revamp the old situations into new, better ones with a very strict sense of realism? So this is also, Saturn is testing our faith, our surrender, and our trust. And how do we do that? By having a discipline, a spiritual practice that helps us connect to our own divine compass. And when we do that very diligently every day, we can have a knowing that whatever is happening out there is not really out there. It's in here, and we always have a compass. It's always available, but we just need to get to it. And that's why Saturn says, are you getting to your inner compass, or are you following everybody else and all the madness of the world? Question. Now, accountability in healing and compassion. Meaning, are we taking accountability for our own healing journey? Or are we in the victim mode that it's everybody's fault that things are happening to us? Can we take responsibility for our own path, our own healing? And I don't really like too much the word healing, but in essence, it just means to come back, to restore, to regain. There's nothing really broken, but we need to get to that place where everything and we do and experience has nothing to do with the outside, has everything to do with, again, our karmic past, our past choices of what we don't even remember. This is in the Piscean field, the collective consciousness. And also the compassion. Are we being compassionate with ourselves and others? Because that's part of the journey as well in Pisces, is having this capacity to see the others while putting healthy boundaries, but also extending ourselves towards knowing that everything we do with our own healing, we do it for ourselves, but we also do it for the collective. Now, also reworking creative and spiritual foundations. This is where Pisces dissolves what we thought a spiritual practice was. It could be religious beliefs. It could have been an adherence to a particular faith or a particular way of understanding spirituality. And now, when we have Neptune and Saturn conjunct and moving into Aries, this is all coming into question to create a very new and different way of connecting to spirit. And usually it's a way that indicates that it's your own path. No one can dictate you, spirit, no one. You are the only one who has the key, the direct key to it. The direct key to source energy is in everybody's hand. It's no longer out there in the religions, the gurus. It's not there. And this is why we need to almost just kind of chug everything we believed and everything we see and everything people tell us. It's a very simple practice of going back to a practice. And this is why Saturn is asking us to face escapism versus the discipline we can have in, okay, I'm going to take responsibility for my own creations and my own healing and my own path. So the discipline is in the work we're doing. It's not easy. But for example, I've told you many times, I'm really taking stock of that. And not only do I do my therapeutic work with my spiritual mentors that I trust, but I also I'm doing several courses in breath work, in daily meditation. I mean, meditation is a big word, but my daily connection, let's say, and I do that through breath work. So through just paying attention to my breathing, I'm doing this amazing course online called Soma Breath. It's with a wonderful dude I found online. It's fantastic, and it's through Mind Valley. And I'm not like endorsing. I'm not that. I'm just saying that that's a resource I found to to do this work, to be disciplined. And I am going to mention then, the founder of Mind Valley, Vishen Lakiani. I really like him. He says, like, we have to have a discipline, which means if you want to get to states of bliss and true understanding of our source connection, we got to get disciplined. And this is Saturn telling us this is the time to do it, to do this. If you have not done it, it's not late. It's not late to start. So get disciplined. And now we have to integrate the mystical into the practical. This is the last of Saturn's lessons. It's great, but if you're going out there just smoking joints and getting high just to get a mystical experience that has zero practical application in your daily life, and you're still like broken and treating people badly, or whatever. And I'm not saying that that's what you do or anything, but I'm saying if that's you and you're having experiences where your life is a mess, and but you're there doing kumbaya with the stars, and then what's the point? And this is Saturn going poof. If you're going into escapist behaviors, well, you might get the cosmic 2 by 4, because this is not what we're here for. We're here to be embodied humans, creating a better humanity, bringing the spiritual gifts, bringing the awarenesses, bringing our vulnerability, and bringing our healing to the planet. That's kind of what we're here for. So this is why this is very important. These are the main themes. And of course, like I said before, is also about closing the karmic cycles of things that are not in alignment. And if we have not done any of this yet in the past 2 or 3 years, where Saturn has been moving through an area of life that was helping us see these themes, this is the time to kind of reconsider and reconnect with these themes. So that's number one. Now, on the topic of these two grand trines and also the square of Jupiter to Mars in Libra, we have a few little things to look at as well. So the action portion, which is Mars, wants to take us somewhere. Now, in Libra, Mars is not very strong because we might tend to be in the people-pleasing arena. And on the positive side, it can help us be more diplomatic. But under a square, there might be a tension where diplomacy flies out the window. There might be some legal issues, legal battles, trying to find a better sense of safety and security, or not knowing how to take a clear path, or also overextending ourselves. So it could be the overextending of our energy without knowing where to put the healthy boundaries to nurture ourselves. That's the Jupiter in Cancer. What nurtures us versus what things we're doing for other people that are just draining us. So if something's not nourishing us, then chug it. But the tendency will be to be super overextended for others and things that are draining, and not taking care of ourselves. And we might look at that as an aspect of immense tension. And the actions that we do outside of ourselves. So this is a call to balance and to say, okay, if you're giving too much energy and you're being depleted, say no. I'm only going to choose the few things that work for me, and that's okay. That's totally fine. It's up to you to be in your own truth and in your own power to say what's good for you. Now, the other themes, again, diplomacy versus protectiveness. This is where diplomacy might just fly out the window because we're overly resistant or reactive to things that are happening, or even in our conversations and communications. This might come up as defensiveness. So the call here is to also use diplomacy. Try and use the best way that you can communicate. Now, there is, like I said, that trine to Jupiter that will help with communicating, with expressing, so that our communication can heal certain things. So the way we talk to people, we talk with people, it's more of a healing vibe that can bring us back into balance. There's also the emotional confidence, which is Jupiter in Cancer going, yes, I know I can trust my own my own intuitive self, which is the Cancer, is the deep intuition, with the wisdom and the sharing. And this comes also from the divine feminine. So this aspect will help us have more tuning into our own intuition. So this is why practices that foster tuning into your own intuition are going to be very important at this time. This could be also a time for creative storytelling, and this is the medicine that we receive. Storytelling, meaning when we share truth, but it could be also archetypal stories that we connect to. It could be also reading something that inspires us, and then we communicate that with others. It could be in sharing circles. When we do a sharing circle that includes vulnerability and safety, then we're harnessing the beauty of this energy. So if you can connect to circles of people where you feel safe, because this is the Cancerian energy, please do so. Where the feminine is being held, please do so. And this is the mystical feminine empowerment. This is exactly what this is about. Is how do we promote those spaces and provide that capacity to bring that divine feminine through. Now, for a little bit of an example that I can give you of what I'm doing, and it's not just, oh, I did it, it's just it aligned so well during this time. I began a divine feminine dance workshop, and I'm going to be teaching this over the next few months. And my dream is to make a course uh, of how to tune into your divine feminine essence through movement. It's available to anyone of any gender, even because the feminine is not just women. And movement, which is easy, it's not out there. This type of dance is something that I've been working on for many years, but it has not landed, and now it seems like it wants to land. So to tell you the little story, when I started this workshop, I didn't know where it was going to lead me, and even though it's very few people in it, these women are having these beautiful breakthroughs and this beautiful understanding that it's so simple, the pathway of healing our root, our sacral, through so tiny movements and such loving connection. And now I'm feeling like this energy is like moving very big. So I'm super excited about providing this also for y'all in the next coming months. So stay tuned for that, because that's something that I really need to be working on and giving you as a tool for self-love, that I feel it's part of my journey in this lifetime. So and the last thing is this, the destiny through intuitive surrender. This is the last piece of that trine to the North Node in Pisces. It's like our destiny is not a fated thing. It's not about fate and this is what's going to happen. It's more like trusting that there is such a higher power. There's something so much bigger than a little egos that want to control it all, and that surrender will will give us a better experience. So this month, if we start with that, chances are the eclipses won't feel as a cosmic two by force forcing us to shift our stubbornness, the force, because Jupiter is kind of Jupiter in this that square with Mars is like trying to force things that are not in alignment. So let's not use force. Um, Now, moving on, like again, this is all the first week, so this is a lot of things. So Mercury enters Virgo, and here the energy shifts a little bit and is going to square Uranus. So this tension can again have a lot of disruptive mental jagged energy or restlessness to it, because Mercury Uranus is the higher mind and Mercury is the lower mind. So if we're not aligned with the shifts and that are like the changes that are happening, our mind can get overly stimulated. This is when being too much on social media, too much paying attention to the swiping, the screens, the chat GPTs, the AI, and all that can be more of a distraction than helpful. At this time, I would say avoid too much of that. So and promote more of your own tuning in and even more grounding, because this is like electricity gone wire. It's like wires going like this, and it's like going haywire. Electricity going haywire with the wire. So this is where everything gets so electrified, so electro. There's so many things, there's so much to do, there's everything everywhere all at once, and it's like, it can overstimulate the senses. So this is where slow breathing come in, because we can do fast, like intense breathings. We can do other kinds of things to stimulate energy. At this time, I would say don't try to stimulate it too much. Try to channel it through slower breathing patterns. So, for example, a slow breathing pattern that we can do that I'm doing every night before sleep and it's fantastic is the 4 counts inhale, the 8 hold, and the 8 exhale. And then you repeat. And that has an instant calming effect in the nervous system. So I would say do that every night. You'll see that will calm, especially if at nighttime you have too much electrical activity. That's when the ADHD gets out of control and the hyperactivity, and that's not necessarily the best thing to do. So watch for that this week. So a few themes, because this is the themes that are happening through here, and I'm going to talk about this because there's hold on, let's see. There is the different aspects going on. Oh, what happened here? I moved past this. Joop. Okay, here. There's also Pluto. This is the first degree here is kind of really important because we have these several things at 1 degree. So we have Pluto at 1 degree of Aquarius, and it's in conjunct with Mercury. So because Mercury is kind of the higher function sorry, the lower function of Uranus in this square, is going to probably want to understand everything and put everything in boxes, because Mercury in Virgo wants to classify everything. And at this time, I don't think we can really classify information. However, yes, to-do lists. This is my to-do list. I have little themes in my to-do list where this is funny. Anyway, I have themes in this little block. You can do it however, to help download from your mind all the things that are happening all at once, because there could be so much with Uranus in Gemini that everything all at once might feel extremely overwhelming. So this is where we can use the faculties of Mercury, not to get overwhelmed and stressed out, but okay, what is the faculty of Virgo? Organization. So get a little planner, make a to-do list. Don't try to do everything all at once. Do one little thing at a time, and like check check uh check your to-do list as you complete tasks. So this can download the information of your restless mind, especially as we are entering September. Is like, school is back to school, back to work, so the kind of fun times of the summer, at least in the northern hemisphere, is like, oh, it's always like a new phase in September. So there's a lot. So we want to keep our nervous system relaxed. So that helps, use the faculties of Mercury and Virgo, the exceptional qualities of being organized. So if you're a Virgo, good for you. However, Virgos, you're in for a big ride with the eclipses and everything, and it's going to be kind of intense. So that is that. So the Pluto energy in this in conjunct, all at these 1 degrees, um, speaks of a few different things. So it's the disruptive ideas and the mental tension. Again, as so much stuff can be happening, disruptive things that we see in the world, things that stresses us, and that creates a lot of mental stress. The restless nervous energy we talked about. Now, there could be the breakthroughs in practical thinking, because this is where Mercury says if we're organized and we can have a little bit of a plan, then we can have, oh my gosh, this is how to get all this mess that I don't know how to organize into a coherent workflow. Now, with Pluto, there could be power struggles in communication. Again, this is where things might not be easy. Authenticity and honesty might be kind of brought to the forefront. Hidden agendas could be revealed at this time, and we find out those things that are like very uncomfortable, the uncomfortable truths. And then we have to understand that these are for transformation. This is a transformative mental adjustment. So how can we adjust our mental processing so that we can be more in tune with our being? Now, I'm bringing up this Gene Key 59. I am not an expert in Gene Keys, but I do follow the Gene Keys in a way that help me transform my own self and understand also, as well as astrology is a very beautiful way of seeing your own wiring as well. And I myself have this in my profile, and I've been contemplating this Gene Key because this has to do a little bit with this Pluto Mercury thing very deeply. So the shadow is dishonesty, where there's barriers, there's emotional walls, and we avoid the truth because of fears, very deep seated fears that are not personal, they are collective. So this is where the dishonesty shows up as like, why do we lie? Why do we hide? Why do we prefer to say the right thing at the right time, just to avoid conflict? And this has been my upbringing, and I'm looking back at, oh, of course, I had a very angry mother and an angry father, so I was afraid that if I said the truth of what I was doing or my dreams, my aspirations, what I wanted, I would just get in trouble and be punished. I remember being punished because I was a little child and I cut my mom had a Barbie, a skipper Barbie, and I cut her hair because I honestly believed that the hair would grow back. I was a little girl. I didn't know. And my mom got so angry, so mad, she grounded me. So it's interesting how to get when I get back to those instances and say, oh, this is why sometimes I prefer not to say what is important to me, what's my truth, what are my dreams, aspirations, and and the things that I honestly do with myself, because this is one example of many things. So this is where we are asked to look at those things so that we can actually transform our mind and the way we're thinking. So back onto the jinky, um, the gift. So here's the beautiful thing: is once we move past those fears of expressing truth, the gift is intimacy. It's really a closeness. It's really seeing each other for what we are. So it dissolves the defenses and the the mistrust, and that creates authentic connection. So if we can move into that at this time, this is the time to do it. It's this week. It might be uncomfortable, but this is where things might have enormous breakthroughs. Now, the CD, or the highest form of this gene key, is transparency. This is a radiant openness. This is where nothing's hidden, the unity consciousness. And in truth, we are divine beings, and we don't need to hide. And the gene key 59 might be getting a little bit more activated at this time. I don't know exactly, but this is like a natural process where we're the gunk, especially the societal and communal gunk, is coming up with Pluto in Aquarius. Is we're seeing all the dirt, the dirt of our connections, of our relationships, of our society, and this is just coming up to be seen and revealed and then moved on. Might be seeing where we are being dishonest with ourselves and obviously then with others. So the themes are breaking down the barriers between the self and others. And the core inquiry is, where do I withhold my truth? And how can I allow greater openness? And this is with clever communication. So at this time, communication might get difficult because we might face that thing where we have to say the truth and we're like, defaulting back to, no, let's just lie, let's just hide this. But what is being asked of us is like, no, this is the time to speak and say, this is the truth. This is my truth. And you don't need to be defensive or anything. And this is where diplomacy comes in, right? Beautiful, beautiful things that we can look at. Oh, where was I? Now, moving on a little bit towards September 6th. Again, this is all in this first week of September. Uranus is it starts retrograding back into not back. It will eventually get back into Taurus, but Uranus is retrograding. Starts its retrograde motion. And at the same time, we are having what was important about this that I want to say? So we talked about the 1 degree, and and also Lilith is involved in this like 1 degree that I've been talking about. So, and there's also Neptune involved in this 1 degree. So on this first week, I think this is very important to pay attention because this first degree is being really accentuated. Um, so in that sense, the Uranus retrograde can be like again an inner revolution, is accepting change not from the outside, but the change from the inside. This is where breakdowns can lead to breakthroughs because there has to be a change within. So the rebellion that we see outside in the streets and that turns inwards. This is where we can say, where do I need to revolutionize my life and my own self so that later on we can see in the outside the changes. So Lilith, as we see, is in this yod aspect, and it's the point of the yod. And this is the raw feminine awakening. And I talked about the feminine, the movement, the connection, the receptivity. But Lilith is this raw power, you know? It's not Venus. It's not the beauty and grace of Venus. It's not the tender mother archetype of the moon. It's the raw feminine power that can create and destroy. That is Lilith. So and the Saturn and Neptune are at the base of this yacht. So we're dissolving the old structures that don't work. And the fated adjustments, the yachts are very uncomfortable energies because we need to find power within so we can free ourselves up from inside. So freedom doesn't come from revolutions on the streets. That's not where it is. That's not where freedom lies. It comes from truth, authentic truth telling. It comes from freeing ourselves. The truth shall set you free. This is just the word for this week. And again, this is a big lesson for me. And this, I kid you not, people that are, oh, again, why am I doing this? Boop, boop. Uh, if you are, where is this? Within, if you have placements of or planets or points, personal planets in particular, at 1 degree of basically anything, because we have water, we have air, and we have fire. So there's a big chance that if you have a 1 degree of any personal planet in your chart, you're gonna be feeling this desire for newness, freedom, and dissolving old structures more intensely than anybody. Now, I turned a little bit to the Sabian symbols as well because of this 1 degree just caught my attention, and I, created these little images. Thank you, ChatGPT. It's now fast and easy, so let's just use the tools. They're there for that. I have already relinquished that in my being, that it's okay to use this tool if it helps us. So, Sabian symbol number 1 in Aries is a woman just risen from the sea, embraced by a seal, and the theme is the birth of new feminine consciousness. So, this is kind of the archetype of this feminine rising into a new consciousness that is more receptive, more gentle, more loving, more caring. First of Gemini is a glass-bottomed boat reveals undersea wonders. Well, I mean, they kind of did this. It's kind of funny. Theme, seeing beneath the surface, perception of hidden realities, and curiosity. So, in this sense, the Gemini, Uranus in Gemini is kind of revealing this complete new wonders, new things, new themes of things we might have never thought of. It's embracing these new possibilities. And then the one of Scorpio, a sightseeing bus filled with tourists. So the theme is collective exploration, shared experience of transformation, and broadening perspective. And this is where Lilith is sitting at the 1st degree of Scorpio. So in this sense we have this newness that it wants to birth out of us, but from a more authentic place. And once we go into that true, very authentic place, not only do we transform society around us, we become agents of change and transformation in our communities, but we also get the benefit of all these new ideas that are just going to be flooding us from the other side. That's Uranus in Gemini. And the new tools that we can use, and hence, again, use with caution. But for example, I'm using the tool of AI in order to help you, to help myself help you in a more efficient way than before. It would take me hours before to prepare even an astrology update. Now it's faster because I can just pop the images, get the charts. It's much easier for me now because I'm using this, and then it helps you. So there you have it. Now, I think for today, I am going to stop here because the full moon total lunar eclipse is its own theme. And I think we have a lot to digest at this time because this first week it's going to be huge. And I'm just going to make a separate video for the lunar eclipse so that we are a little bit more in depth into what that means, especially for people that are going to be deeply touched by this eclipse and transformed, which obviously it's along the axis of the Virgo, the Pisces, the mutable axis, Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, and Gemini. So if you are in any of those four quadrants, brace yourself because the eclipses this season are going to be shaking, moving you into new realities and in ways that might be very uncomfortable. So or very exciting. Again, depends on the lens we're seeing things through. But we have a lot to digest this week. So I hope you watch this until the end so you can embrace the practices that I've just said: slow breathing, resetting of nervous system, uh, using communication in a way that can be very authentic and very healing so that you can bring more personal freedom to your experiences, and also gaining this understanding that we're reviewing our previous contracts, agreements, karmic entanglements, dreams, and aspirations. And this is a time to review that, not just this week, but it's beginning this week so we can have a better perspective and an understanding so we can move forward with more ease in the next coming months and obviously next year as things move more forward in after all the retrogrades of the bigger planets. All right, so that was that. Thank you so much for listening. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share this video if this helps you, if this information can give you some insight, or you know someone that could use these insights. And also, please don't forget that I am also offering readings, especially if you are having a solar return. So if you're a Virgo, I would say please get a reading because this is going to be probably pivotal years for you, life-changing moments with these eclipses that are happening and things that are moving forward. So Virgos, happy birthday. I will definitely make an a nice 50% off. I gotta put it in my website, so if it's not there yet and you've seen this video, just remind me of that if you want a solar return reading, meaning themes for this year. That's for Virgos, for all the people have this month. Yeah, for the Virgos. If you're a Virgo, just hit me up. uh, so anybody with birthday in Virgo, what else? Yeah, and or if you want to know more of your blueprint and what you're here to do, and or know want to know how all of this energy could be affecting you, I'm here for you. All right. Thank you so much, and I see you in the next video. Bye.